All right, welcome back to More Social. As a reminder, I am the best person ever, and we're going to continue our discussion regarding becoming your best and discovering your purpose. So, before I dive into the topic for today, I just want to point out that my anticipated exponential growth fell flat. I didn't actually gain any new followers from this last video. So apparently, I need to learn more about the YouTube algorithm and all that good stuff. So I don't really have any other feedback from content or my audience. So for my 5 followers out there, if you don't give me feedback, then you just get to experience this same old dull output that I've been putting together thus far, which actually is kind of a good segue into this segment or this installation, the most boring video ever. So something that I would say sort of bogged me down in the past is I hate being bored. I hate feeling like I'm not doing something. It's a waste of time. I don't know what to do with myself. Do I sit in a chair, put my feet up, stare off blankly into space? I don't know. It drives me absolutely crazy. And of course, there's always the opportunity to continue to do things that are important. But what I'm starting to discover and what's really become clear to me with this process that I'm on is that boredom actually helps me to to regain or to recharge and to focus on the things I'm interested in. So whether or not you like my videos or my content or not, what I'm starting to figure out is I don't care. What I like, what I enjoy is finding a creative outlet that's not that's not based around something that I'm dependent on somebody else to offer me. Whether it's streaming my favorite sitcom or movie or playing a video game. Don't get me wrong, I find those to be fine ways to spend a little bit of time with family or friends or whatever you're doing. But when we don't recognize the amount of distraction and the way that we get caught up in those activities, we're just contributing to what somebody else has done. And the big facet, the big important facet of what we ought to be doing is building things that we enjoy, finding things that each of us as an individual or any individual really connects with. So in the past, I kind of obviously alluded to this, but I would spend time playing video games or streaming services or any of the other number of ways that people do, social media. Now, I'm not a person who's been notoriously a death scroller on social media. I have been known to burn quite a few hours on streaming, binging videos, or binge watching shows, or playing video games. And what I discovered as I started to pursue some other creative endeavors aside from just the content video creation, which like it or not, this is what I'm doing. But I'm working on some independent software projects, and I'm working on doing a little bit of web design as a creative outlet or a couple of creative outlets. And what I started to figure out is I was sort of short-circuiting the ideas and the creativity that I had for those by getting too interested in a video game or a TV show. And so instead of being sort of more or less consumed by the ideas that I had sort of flowing through my head, I was, I was like, oh, I need to recharge and I'm going to kick my feet up. And then I would get interested in something else. And then, of course, you become interested in one thing, you lose interest in another. And I also found that it's really a false way to recharge. So when you're trying to recharge, the idea is that you relieve stress and anxiety, but you then build stress and anxiety by not focusing your energy on the things that are more worth your time. So now you may reduce your stress and anxiety for a very short period of time, but it compounds and increases later. So boredom, how to handle boredom. So the first thing that I do is I try to focus on areas of interest, the things that I'm really trying to accomplish. So setting goals, I haven't really settled on the goals that I need to. I haven't really gotten as clear on that as I need to. I'm getting closer, but I do have some strong ideas, some good inclinations. So in the past, I had not been great at reading. A lot of my reading was devoted to academia, studying for my master's degree at one time, going through my undergraduate program, and then looking more along the lines of like leisure. Like, I just want to read a book to kind of, instead of watching TV, I'll read a book. So those, again, it's the same problem. Like, reading is probably a better way to spend time than watching television ad nauseum, but I still wasn't really pursuing the things that I was really interested in. So I've started to focus more on reading things that have to do with software development, web design, self-improvement, of course, is that's kind of obvious with the video series. And I've also, tried to engage in learning and following, whether it's YouTube video series or picking up some learning content on one of the social media platforms or something like Udemy. So these are the ways that I start to build my interest and continue to help encourage myself to stay focused on the things that I'm really interested in. And the second thing is this, and this is where the boredom comes in. I actually just embrace the boredom. So when I'm bored, when I get done with work, I need to recharge. I absolutely, when I'm done with my workday, I'm trying very hard as an individual to really put forth my best effort across the board on everything I'm working on. So when I get done with the workday, I need to recharge. But at that point, it's not about being distracted. It's about taking time to just spend some silence, or even just in the presence of my family, where instead of being anxious about, I got to find the next thing to do, or I got to work on this next project, or I got to do this next thing, I just kind of cut loose. I just kind of say, that's it, I'm done. I'm not gonna engage in anything else. So obviously the other real key factor to that is tuning out of social media. Now, I personally have mentioned already that I'm not a death scroller. I literally put my phone away in a drawer. I check it a couple of times to make sure that I didn't receive a text message from somebody. I try not to ignore people, or obviously I don't want to miss an important message from somebody, but I put it away so that I can devote time to my family. And I can also tune out, and it's not an additional thing to be distracted by. So the other thing that I really have learned to like is writing. Call it journaling or whatever. It's not a diary, but I write. I write about things that I think might be useful. I write about ideas that I have for tools, utilities, software, web design ideas, things that, again, sort of take my reading and take my learning and put it into my own words and my own thinking through my own filter. So the benefits that I have achieved from this are, I really am finding that for as much as there are a plethora of software platforms and apps out there, there's a lot of opportunity for even competition among those things that already exist. And so I'm starting to really re-engage in some of those areas that I found interest in earlier on in my career. Obviously, I have heightened engagement in other things, even things that I do with my kids, even things that they're interested in. I find that it's a lot easier for me to kind of pick up what they're doing and, sort of learn with them and pursue their interests along the way, so that instead of having a, kind of a poor mindset of like, well, I don't know anything about that, I tend to be a lot more encouraging of them to say, that's a great thing to learn about. Let's learn about it together. So the other thing is that you start to realize how much I call it action faking, and I think that's pretty common among entrepreneurs, which sometimes that's a little bit of a sock in the gut, because it's really easy to sit back and say, okay, I need to have this perfect plan. And I can relate to like lacking motivation because I was lacking discipline, because I wasn't building up these wins. And instead of doing things that actually make a difference in what I'm trying to accomplish, I found that I was resorting to like, okay, I'm going to create this perfect plan. I'm going to create this perfect idea. And then I would realize that one of the biggest preventive measures or factors to moving forward is having this idea that things need to be perfect. So I'll get into it again in another episode, but that's another important thing that I want to talk about is the importance of growing and being iterative. So in closing, boredom is the solution to boredom. When you're bored, or when you think you're bored, if you're bored because you're not doing enough, then that's a great opportunity for you to engage in something, but engage in something that's valuable at that point, right? Reading, learning something, or even just trying something. Just experiment. Get a piece of wood, learn how to carve, learn how to cut, learn how to do something. If you want to, try to build a website, just start doing it. Don't sit back and wait for motivation to strike. Get disciplined. Focus on key areas that the self-improvement world has put together a lot of good information on, whether it's exercise or just getting into a better routine. And don't assume that you aren't going to be distracted or that distractions aren't going to exist, but guard yourself against them. So time box them, put them in a place where, this is the time that you deal with these distractions, deal with them, and then put things away after that. You'll find that the more you learn to control your time and the energy that you have, the more that you're going to be focused on the things that you really enjoy. So anyway, signing out, more social. Thanks for joining.